Awesome. Well, I just want to welcome you all to Biola Preview Week, and this specifically is our clubs and community session. Ethan and Nathan and I are so glad you're here and are just really excited to tell you all about our individual experiences with Biola community and share a few stories and ways that we've really enjoyed getting involved and what it's been like. If you have any questions throughout our time together, make sure and chat them in the box. And Ashley, who is facilitating this session, is going to pass them along to us so that we can make sure and get those answered. So with that being said, we will get started. First of all, my name is Rebecca, and I'm from Bellingham, Washington. And so way up north, about 20 minutes from the Canadian border, grew up here and then got to go to school in California, which has been the best to just be in all the sunshine. I am a senior theology major and absolutely love it. And for a little fun fact, one of my favorite Thanksgiving traditions is always going over to my grandma's in the morning and having cinnamon rolls and then cooking all throughout the day. So, Ethan, your turn.
Thanks, Rebecca. Hi, guys. My name is Ethan Della Pena. I am a computer science, math kind of major. I'm kind of both. I'm from Clovis, California, which is here in the Central Valley near Fresno. If any of y'all know where that is here in California, we kind of get the best of both worlds. It gets really hot, gets really cold, super fun to go from one extreme to the other. I am currently a sophomore. I'm about halfway done with school. I'm finishing in 3 years, which is kind of fun. And my favorite Thanksgiving tradition has got to be we get these little C's like turkey chocolate kind of candies on our plate every Thanksgiving. And it's super fun to just, either eat it before or after Thanksgiving and, go ham on that. It's really delicious and I get sick every single time. Off to you, Nathan.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I am Nathan. I am from Torrance, California, if you guys are local or familiar. I am also a psychology senior. And so I've had the blessing of just enjoying the fun thing that is psych. My favorite Thanksgiving tradition probably is going to have to be just kind of a corny, typical like give thanks for what you're thankful for in the family circle. We also like our old hymns. And so there's a song called Give Thanks that we sing before we eat dinner. And then we just devour dinner because we're Filipino and food is great. So segueing into kind of what we're looking at with this session is we are going to talk, again, a lot about community as this Zoom is called. We're going to address things like dorms and classes with Rebecca and Ethan. We're also even going to talk about the work field and how community is there. And then we'll kind of close up with kind of the more practical club and community things that are oriented more towards building specifically that community. And so to start us off, we have Ethan, but again, just before he starts, wanting to emphasize that if you do, again, have any questions, feel free to chat it in. So Ethan, take it away.
Thanks, Nathan. So yeah, we're just talking a little bit about how we foster community here at Biola. And some of these are kind of unique to me. They may be unique to you. Some of them are shared by other students here at Biola. But one of the things that happened in my personal experience coming to Biola, I don't know if any of you, if you're looking at going Biola, any of you have like friends that are looking at also going to Biola. But when I came into Biola, I had 3 friends ranging from knowing them from elementary, junior high, and high school. I knew them and we all actually came into Biola together. And that's just an awesome way to realize that, hey, there's people that have known me for a long time. There's people that have gotten to know me and know what it's like. And they can meet other people at Biola. They can bring those people into your friend group. You can meet other people at Biola, bring those into your friend group. And it's just an awesome way to expand your community based off of people that you've already known and that you're comfortable with. I will say I got a little too comfortable with my friends at the beginning. It's easy to stay in a group that you already know what it's like. It's easy to kind of have that community and not try and push yourself and get other people in that community. But if that is going to be your experience, I highly recommend making sure that you're, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone within that community so that you can grow and meet more people. Also, it sounds kind of typical, but classes are an amazing way to get community. A lot of the people that I'm friends with now, I actually met in a bunch of my different classes. the professors really do a lot of work to make sure that you're engaging with the people next to you, that you're engaging in group projects, that you're making sure that you're getting to know as many people within your class as you can. Some classes are a little more difficult to do that. They're like 200, 300 people, but you're still getting to know more people. And when you're in classes, it's just as long as you're putting in the effort and you're trying to, meet new people, you're going to grow your community just throughout the semester, semester by semester. It's an amazing way to add that in. Last, I want to talk about roommates and suite mates. My dorm is Sigma, and Sigma, we have suite style kind of rooms. So it's our room. We share it with a bathroom. We share a bathroom with another dorm room. And that's an amazing way to get to meet new people. If you go out of your way to meet your suite mates, that's two more friends that you'll get to, know and get to be able to enjoy what it's like being at Biola, including your own roommate. Like my roommate, I didn't know him when I came to Biola, but now we're good friends. And I think as long as you're putting in the effort and you're trying to, foment friendship and foment community here, that's an amazing way, is just getting to know your roommate. A lot of people, they might have difficulties with the roommate, but I think overall, roommates are a really amazing way to grow that community. So just overall, if you come in with friends at Biola, that's an amazing way to grow your community. You can get them to bring people into your group and you can hang out with them and get to know them a lot better. Classes are an amazing way, group projects, stuff like that. Just putting in the effort to make sure that you're trying to meet new people. And lastly, roommates and suite mates are a really easy, awesome way to get to grow your community because you're living with them all the time. So off to Rebecca.
Are all great ways that I've also got to engage in community too, but I'm going to highlight a few different ones. The first way that I feel like I have just made the majority of friends during my Biola time is through on-campus jobs. So the job right now that Nathan, Ethan, and I are working is an ambassador job where we get to give tours and work different events and interact with prospective students. And I've actually been able to do this my 4 years at Biola and kind of grow up with the job. So started out giving tours and then have moved to a supervising position and have just loved to get to work with a team of about 25 other Biola students who are also ambassadors, and my boss who I've had for 4 years, who I absolutely love. So that has been a way that my freshman year I got to meet a lot of people, and am now living in a house with some of them now. And so it's just been so fun to spend my hours at work also investing in community and having time to build friendships too. So that for sure is a win-win there. Another one is freshman year floor activities. I know that right now we're obviously not on campus and we're all meeting over Zoom, but there will be a day soon when we're all back. And your dorm on campus is such a cool way to just get to know the people who are living next to you, who you're seeing in the bathroom, who you're going to your activities with. And so RAs do such an awesome job of creating events that the whole floor gets to do. And so this can be something as simple as going to dinner together on Sunday nights, or intentionally taking a time each week for your floor to connect and just get to know each other more. And what's fun about that is these are friendships that you get to know or start at an event, but then they're just continued because you're naturally seeing all these people on the stairs or in the elevator going back to your dorm or brushing your teeth in the bathroom. And so it feels like you're continuing to touch base with these people, which just makes for a natural continuation of the friendships that you've started in those floor activities. And then lastly, one of the ways that I've also met majority of friends and engaged in community at Biola is similar to what Ethan said, which is classes. The professors do such a great job of, finding ways for you to connect with the students who you're learning with. And so suddenly it's so much less of an individual learning experience, but instead something that you're all doing together. And then that turns into studying or reviewing for a midterm or working on a group project and meeting up in the library. And I think that these are always some of my favorite Biola memories, just thinking of friendships that have started from working together on something and then getting to just continue that and then let that slowly turn into hanging out outside of class and all of that. So classes are fun because you naturally have something in common, which is typically your major, unless it's a gen ed class. and then you'll get to continue to see some of these faces. And so given the small nature of Biola, I have people who have been in my class freshman year who are in a class that I'm taking again senior year, and I've just seen them all along the way. And so it's just so fun to know that because of the small nature, you'll get to continue to interact with some of the same people and just go through your Biola years with them. So on-campus jobs, floor activities, as well as classes have kind of been my top three ways to get to know some friends during Biola. Nathan, do you want to share?
And a little bit more on things beyond just work and dorming and other things like that. We do have things that are very centered on community, such as our clubs. And so one that I was a part of was the hide and seek club. It was one of the most epic Friday night clubs you can go to because you literally played hide and seek on campus. Super fun stuff. We also played werewolf, which is kind of like mafia, if you're familiar, but on like a whole nother level. And so we did that. And then we also played something called Murder in the Dark, which was in a classroom, which also was pretty fun. It could get very crazy, but just things like that where I've met friends there. I've made a lot of memories. I have kind of a cringy photo of me and one of my Biola besties, like just hiding in a bush and hide and seek. And so just a lot of fun general things that you can do, whether or not you want to do something specific in particular. And so going into a little bit more of a niche one, there's also a lot of different clubs for different passions that you might have. And so I love singing. And so I was part of the Fearless Glee Club, which was an awesome opportunity to just practice musical numbers that we did and then perform them in front of friends, which was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but you know, it's college. You got to branch yourself out there, as we've been talking about. And so another thing that we have beyond clubs is also just our club fair, just shouting that out. And that happens at the beginning of all of our semesters. And so they are usually set up with just tables all across our walkway that kind of goes by our cafeteria area and floor fountain, if you're familiar with campus. And so that's a great way to check out other clubs that you might be interested in. We also have in our Office of Campus Engagement a place where you can also start a club. So who knows, if you want to start that Biola knitting club, all the power to you on that. But segueing away from clubs, we also have our intramurals. This is something I'm a big fan of. Obviously, some of you guys might be trying to be athletes and doing collegiate sports. But if you're like me and you're not the best at any sport in particular, you can also go into intramurals for more of a fun time with just people within the college. I was part of C League volleyball intramurals. And what happens with leagues is that there are usually three. C League is where I was at, the most casual one. You're just looking for some fun, but also want to be kind of competitive. And your highest competition rate obviously would then be A League, which is where I have seen people in volleyball at least just spike and block and just do so many things that C League people just can only dream of doing. And so it was such a great time. Freshman year, I actually wasn't going to do an intramural, but one of my friends convinced me because it was C League. And I was like, it's super easy. And, you know, we have a team already set up. And so it ended up being a really great highlight of my freshman year. I have a lot of the friends that I have still in that intramural team. We've had so much fun just cheering each other on during volleyball matches and even getting to up to the finals. We didn't win, unfortunately, but it was still a great time. Our team was called Sparks Fly, based off, I think it was a Taylor Swift song. And so we had so much fun. And so if you are someone who is not interested in sports but would like to give one a shot, I would highly recommend C League intramurals. And if you're just someone who's been passionate or was familiar with the sport and you want to get into that, you can also do this as well. So last thing I want to touch on is something a little bit more niche to the quarantine time, since it is interesting and the question of community is brought up in this season. And so we have something called a Biola Discord. If you're familiar with Discord, it is a great time for usually people who just play video games, but it's been a way that I at least have been engaging with some Biola community. We have on Thursday nights a time where we play Among Us, which is probably a buzzword because it's super duper popular like everywhere. And so if you don't know, it's basically, again, Mafia. I enjoy Mafia, so it's fun. And it's been a great time to just talk with people before we start games. And again, just making a lot more memories with other college students. And so wrapping all of this up, it's just been awesome with community and getting to know so much more about people through just memories and things that we are passionate about. So yeah, that's pretty much my takes on community. So now with this point, we are going to now go a little bit more into our Q&As. So again, if you've been chatting in our chat, this is the time where we're going to take to just answer some of the questions that have been pre-submitted or are being submitted now. And so feel free, again, to continue doing that even as we have questions, if questions are stemming to even more questions. So with that being said, I think our first question is going to either Ethan or Rebecca or both.
I think we'll start with those pre-submitted questions, Nathan. So one of our first questions that some people have asked is, how do you know what dorm is right for you? And honestly, I think some of it comes from like actual experience. But another thing is actually like Biola's website, it has a bunch of different information for each one of the dorms. And some of the dorms are also restricted for certain kinds of people, like our Alpha dorm is all girls. So as a guy, you know, that's not one of the dorms that you're gonna pick. Um, but yeah, definitely go on Biola's website. Biola's website has a lot of information that you can look up about each and every dorm, what it's like, suite style, not suite style, the size of the rooms, what you can kind of fit in there. But also, I'd say if you can, if you have access, talk to current Biola students or past Biola students. I know my older brother, he was a Biola student. He just recently graduated. But I talked to him about what dorm might be good for me. And each dorm has a kind of vibe to it. Like I was in Sigma, and Sigma's a really low key kind of dorm, and it's very calm and very quiet. So if that's your vibe, then you should do that. Or there's Horton, which is like Horton or Hope are both very hype halls. They've got a lot of athletes in them, especially in Hope. So you know that based off of your own personality type, you can do more research into these specific halls, specific dorms, kind of thing, and figure it out from there. But yeah, definitely, if you can, talk to current students or past students on their experience and what they think might fit for you. I think next we have Rebecca.
Awesome. Yeah. So my next question is, what was the experience like for moving out of your home state? And did any aspect of Biola make that transition easier? So totally, yes. Coming from Washington, I was a little unsure at first just what it was like. Not only was I transitioning from high school to college, but also was moving away from family and friends and going to a new state. And so I think one of the things that made this easiest was obviously just being able to stay in touch with my family if I ever needed to and text them, but just how awesome the Biola community was. I really didn't ever feel homesick at all. I was just so excited to jump in and get to know people. And I think that's because upon just the start of your Biola experience, people are so friendly and welcoming. There's so many different ways to get involved, and professors are so intentional about reaching out and connecting with you. So I had multiple professors within my first week of classes as a freshman invite me over to their house for dinner because they wanted to get to know me and where I was from. And that just felt like my experience always. People always wanting to connect, and I got involved in a church. And so it just felt like there were so many ways to not only seek out community, but where people were seeking me out. And so I think this is something you'll notice for sure. At Biola, and that's less of a kind of action oriented response where it's like do this or do that, but it just feels like people come and want to get to know you and be involved. So yes, it was hard, but at the same time it was really exciting and just a really growing opportunity. So I would say just reach out and get to know people, and when people are inviting you to do things, say yes, and just get involved in the community. It's the best, and it makes the transition really great too.
I'll take care of this one that says, how is Biola encouraging their students in their walks with God? This actually can segue into another community building thing we have called chapels. And so at Biola, we ask all of our students to take at least 20 chapels in regular time during their semester, which is not that much in comparison to the 100+ different opportunities that we have. And so that is one way that Biola is intentional with just building our relationships with God. We have a lot of different chapels offered throughout the week. There are prayer chapels. Singspiration, also known as Singspo, is a great one of 45 minutes of just worship together. It is something that I look forward to just refresh and to start my week off right before Monday hits. And one of my favorites, though, is Biola Hour, where we actually do a podcast style sermon thing where we have people from different work fields talk about how they are engaging in their faith in the work field that they work in, which is super fun to hear. Whether it's there was an author who talked one time about a book on forgiveness, or there's someone in the Hollywood field who talked about their experience. And so many different facets there. But last thing I do want to mention is, again, it's just in the integration that we have here at Biola, whether it's with students or even just in classes. Integration is such a common word that we use here, but it's because, again, it's just being drilled in and it's being so beautifully integrated. I don't know if that's the right phrasing, integration, but it's such an awesome time to engage with what you're doing. I talked a little bit about psychology and how I'm doing that. And we've talked about how mental illnesses can be treated in a Christ-like manner, and how do we respond to people who may not have a coherent thought process, and how do we make sure that we're loving on them well. So yeah, that kind of answers that question. So we can transition to our next one.
I can start that off. By the way, I love Singspo. Guys, Singspo is so much fun. It's so amazing. It's like, it's one of the best places just to feel like you're welcome, as like everybody's worshiping God at the same time, and there's like hundreds of voices echoing through the gym. Oh, it's amazing. I'm gonna cry. I miss it so much. But our next question is, what is your favorite annual tradition at Biola? And that's hard because I really enjoy a lot of what Biola does. We have like Nation Ball, we have a whole bunch of stuff. But from what I was able to experience, my favorite was probably Pumpkin Pie, which is where it's kind of like a talent show for Biola students. And we get to go out in front of our chapel and on Metzger lawn, and everybody just sits, families come, anyone can come, and we just sit and we watch a bunch of Biola students, perform a bunch of different talents. I know some people I work with, they're musicians, so they got up there and they played their guitar and they sang, and there was one guy last year that was like a Michael Jackson impersonator or something like that. He danced like Michael Jackson, and I'm pretty sure he won. But it was really cool. It was amazing to be able to see all these different talents that people have at Biola that maybe they don't get to showcase to other people all the time. But yeah, I love Pumpkin Pie. It was really fun. Off to Rebecca.
Biola traditions is probably the Christmas tree lighting. So every December, I don't even know when, maybe it's like the first week, I can't remember. It changes a little bit each year. But everyone will go out to Metzger Lawn, which is actually the same location where they do pumpkin pie, like Ethan was just talking about. And it's just this huge grassy area, and this large Christmas tree is in the middle that stays up for the whole month. And there is a whole stage set up, and they'll do Christmas carols and songs, and our president, Dr. Barry Corey, will often speak, or we'll have a guest speaker, and then everyone will often like count down, and then the tree lights up, and then sometimes there's like surprise snow, and it's just always really fun. So it's a great way to kind of enter into the Christmas season, but be there with all of your Biola friends, and professors and their families will come, and it just it's also a community event, and so you'll get people just from the area who know about it, and it's just so fun. And it's so Biola in the sense that the people there who are speaking just give such, I don't know, awesome little reminders about the Christmas season, and it just feels really meaningful, but also just genuinely really fun and all magical at Christmas time.
I want to say that my favorite one probably is going to have to be Mock Rock. It is so fun to just experience just how much effort my friends put into doing it, which is, again, kind of recapping on what it is just a big lip sync battle, which is super awesome to do. I was part of a group last year, but I couldn't fully commit, but it was so awesome and how inclusive they are, because I don't know how to dance, and they were so gracious in teaching me how to, move my body in ways that I don't know how to move them. But even my freshman year, it was so fun, even just waiting in line. It's kind of I don't know if it's gives it justice, but it's like a mini Coachella, just waiting in line and just so many people there. Me and my friends like got a table set up, and then we literally, the cafeteria was right there, and so we would just cycle people. Like some people would be waiting in line, and the other like three people would be eating at the caf, and then we would switch. And so it's just a fun thing whether you're engaging in it or not. So I think our next question is going to be about ministry. Ethan or Rebecca, would you happen to want to talk into that?
Yeah, for sure. So the question was, what ministry opportunities are available at Biola? And the question has so many different answers. You could go so many different ways. Essentially, you could jump into ministry opportunities through a local church. That would be the first one. Biola has a fair at the beginning of the school year where all local churches will come and kind of set up a little bit of a booth and have a representative there. And you can just kind of get a feel for the different denominations and locations of churches in the area. And getting involved in a local church is a great way to go on mission trips and be involved with a Bible study in the community there. A more on-campus one would be probably SMU, which is Student Missionary Union. This is Biola's student-run organization that is training and sending students out on mission trips in the local area, all over the country and overseas. So that's also a really cool way to take everything that you've been learning at Biola and then get to go out and practically apply it. Biola's clubs also are very mission and outreach oriented. So there are a large variety of ones there, but depending on which club you're in, there are a lot of service oriented ones connected with churches or local mission groups where you get to also go and do that. And then kind of the fourth one would be internships or hands-on experience if you are in a Bible or theology major, which I am. A lot of internship opportunities will come up through a church or working with a nonprofit in the summer. And so this can be a really cool way to practically serve, but also be acquiring some hands-on experience that helps give some direction on where you want to go with your major. So many different ways to get involved in ministry at Biola, but those would kind of be the main ones: church, clubs, internships, and then our student missionary union.
So I'm going to pray now, and then we'll close out the session. And after a few closing remarks, you guys can head on out. All right, let's pray. Dear Lord, as we gather here today, I just thank you for each one of these students that are looking at coming to Biola. I just pray that you are with them in their journey, in their decision-making, whether your will is for them to come to Biola or not. I pray that they seek you in all that they do. They seek to glorify you in their work, in school, in where they're going to go to school, how they decide. But I just pray that most of all, you give each and every one of them peace and comfort about where they're going, what's happening, especially during this time. I know it can be even more difficult for those people that are already transitioning from one big thing to another. I pray that you provide all of us comfort, and that your will is ultimate in our life, and that your will be done. So I just pray for, again, peace. I pray for comfort, and I pray that everybody has an awesome rest of their day and the rest of their week. Amen. All right, so we just want to let you know that if you have any other questions, you can reach out to your admissions counselors. I'm sure that they've sent you emails up to this point, or I think you can actually get in contact with them through Biola's admissions department on our website, or you can call at 1-800-OK-BIOLA. Also, if you want to find out anything else about Biola, we encourage you, please attend our other sessions this week for Biola Preview Week. That would be amazing. So thank you all so much for attending here. Have a great rest of your day.